What's going on, guys? I wanted to talk today about the Minnesota Vikings and the San Francisco 49ers Week 1 preseason game. Obviously, I'm a big Vikings fan. I was watching this game. I planned on watching the whole thing, but I did fall asleep around, I think, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and I pretty much seen all I needed to see up until that point anyway. I watched the highlights later, and if I missed anything, there was a couple of things that I missed, but I got to see most of the game, and I got to see the starters and most of the second string action, and so I was going to talk about this game either way, and I did take a few notes while I was watching this, not as many as I kind of wanted to because there just wasn't really a lot to really talk about, I guess, I thought, from watching the Vikings play. But as far as the Vikings in this game, the positives I'll take away, I only have two positives for the entire game for them, which is the starting offense play and Blair Walsh. The rest was pretty bad to watch. I mean, the Vikings came out their first possession, and Ponder hit that nice 52-yard connection to Stephen Burton, who was a 7th-round draft pick last year. Has an opportunity to get some playing time this year with Greg Child's injury, and the ball was slightly underthrown, but it was a pretty good pass, and it was good for 52 yards. I was excited to see that happen. I actually got excited a little bit and was yelling at the TV because I was excited about that play. And of course, I like Christian Ponder a lot. You guys know I like Ponder. I have confidence personally as a fan in Christian Ponder because of his skill set in this type of an offense. And I think he has intangibles as well that are going to make him a good quarterback. But I really want to see some good strides made by him. And in this first preseason game, I overall was impressed with Christian Ponder and the overall, well, not really the overall first-team offense, but a good majority of it. When you look at Christian Ponder in this game, he was 4 for 9 passing. 3 of those incompletions were drops that should have been caught, and one was a check down throwaway, and one was just a throwaway out of the back of the end zone. So Ponder went 4 for 9 and did not throw for a touchdown, but he had 2 drives of action. He led the Vikings to field goals on both drives, which are both successful possessions, and Blair Walsh capped off both drives with 2 field goals in windy Candlestick Park, and that was nice to see. It was a 39-yard field goal, I believe, and a 28-yard field goal. Then on kickoffs, most of the time in the preseason, guys are going to take them out of the end zone, no matter how deep they are, as long as they're returnable, because the coaches want to see the film on the special teams unit and see how the blocking is. They want to see guys play rather than worry about the field position in the preseason game that's meaningless. And so Blair Walsh had 1 touchback and a couple other kicks that were deep into the end zone that LaMichael James took out. And so the major strengths of the Vikings in this game was the play of the first-team offense and their special teams unit. One thing I thought we would see that I think we're going to see a lot of in the regular season was Christian Ponder looking to Kyle Rudolph for the first down conversions, and he did in this game. Both of his catches and both of his targets at Rudolph ended up being first down catches. His only other 2 completions were to Stephen Burton, obviously, and then 1 to Michael Jenkins, but 3 drops, that wasn't very good. Simpson had a drop too. We didn't get to see him make any catches. Percy Harvin didn't play, and Gerhardt did pretty well in his 5 carries that he had. So that's all for the first-team offense. First-team defense, though, first of all, they were not playing with Jared Allen, Kevin Williams, or Antoine Winfield. Those guys are all veterans. They did not need to play in this game, and so it was an opportunity to see some more backups play. And the Niners had their way at the Vikings defense. Running the ball, they were extremely effective, getting yards in big chunks, especially off the edge. And now the linebackers, from what I was seeing, were pretty non-existent, even Chad Greenway, Aaron Henderson, but Jasper Brinkley, the guy who was filling in for E.J. Henderson, he was pretty much a non-factor and did not play very well, and especially with his strength being against the run, I did not see that in this first game at least, so hopefully that gets fixed because Brinkley, he's starting at a position that I think has the least amount of depth on this team as far as quality goes, because middle linebackers, the only other substitutions they could have would be like Tyrone McKenzie, Marvin Mitchell, Audie Cole, and Solomon Elamimian. But of course, this was only 1 preseason game. There'll be 3 more for us to judge these guys based off of their play. And it was also a small sample size of plays, although San Francisco had their way. I'm not sure if all 5 of their starting linemen were playing. I assume so. They did a great job of getting to the second level and blocking the linebackers and making the cornerbacks and safeties make the plays. And one play that was definitely missed, Brandon Jacobs had a carry where he bounced it outside, and Vikings safety Mistral Raymond, who was more of a coverage safety than a tackling safety, he's better in space, and he took a horrible angle at Brandon Jacobs of all running backs. Now, if it was someone like Kendall Hunter or Michael James, I could understand it, but Jacobs, it was just not a very good attempt at making a physical play to take down Brandon Jacobs, and I think the strong safety spot will be decided between him and Jamarcus Sanford, and you either take the guy who's better in coverage, which is Raymond, or the guy who can play better at the line of scrimmage and make tackles, which is Sanford. But if Harrison Smith ends up being the starter, then maybe Mr. Raymond would start, because Harrison Smith, he can play in the box, and he can play down and play physical at safety. I saw a little bit of Harrison Smith in this game, liked what I saw. There was one play where he made the running back change direction and end up having a short gain or a tackle for loss. I can't exactly remember, but not really anything in the passing game for Harrison Smith. And I was just really disappointed by the way they played against against the run. I thought they gave way too many big plays and big chunks and made it too easy for Alex Smith to lead that team down the field. And then I got to the second team offense, and that was just ugly. I did not like it at all. A lot of people wanted to see Joe Webb compete with Christian Ponder for the starting quarterback spot. And yeah, this is one game, but Webb does not look like a starting quarterback, despite the fact that the offensive line did not do a great job of protection. First team line did pretty good, and Ponder was able to go through multiple reads on multiple plays. But Webb, he was constantly under pressure and relying on his athleticism to escape the pocket and then throw the ball away. He completed like 1 or 2 passes to receivers, and I wanted to really look at these receivers and write down notes about how each guy was doing, but there really wasn't anything to say because the guys weren't making catches. I mean, Webb was under pressure and he wasn't able to get the ball down the field. He was 4 of 11 for 20 yards, so what can you say from that besides he was under pressure too much and relying on the checkdowns? Now, on the other side for San Francisco, Colin Kaepernick looked very good, and he had a great 78-yard touchdown run that just blew past everybody in the Vikings secondary. And then I fell asleep while the second teams were playing, and then I didn't get to watch McLeod Bethel-Thompson or Scott Tolzien. I got to watch some of the highlights. Thompson threw an interception, and so did Tolzien. That was picked off by Solomon Elimimian. And I thought the Vikings backup defensive line did a decent job of getting pressure. Audie Cole had a sack as well at the middle linebacker spot. And on the Elimimian interception, Tolzien was under pressure, and it was just a really weak pass. That was an easy interception. It was just floating right to Solomon Elimimian. And then just a few more things I remember from this game. I saw Stephen Burton return a couple of kicks, and I don't think he's going to have any shot at winning a starting job or even being the number 2 or 3 guy. He was dancing too much when he was running him back, and there's clearly better options on the Vikings roster. We haven't even seen Josh Robinson yet. He had a hamstring injury, and I'm hoping we can see him in the second game against Buffalo. But I also wanted to see Jarius Wright, and I must have fell asleep when he was playing most of the time because I don't remember seeing him much. And then Vikings starting defensive tackle Troy Guion was also hurt in this game. I believe it was a PCL injury. He's going to be out for at least 1 or 2 weeks. And so the Vikings have some decent defensive line depth, though. At least guys I'm interested in watching, Trevor Guyton and Fred Evans. We'll see how they do. And can't forget about Christian Ballard, second-year man out of Iowa. And then the other thing I noticed from this game was just the 49ers have a terrific backfield as far as depth. We didn't even see Frank Gore, but they have Brandon Jacobs for the goal line in short yardage situations if they don't want to use Frank Gore in those spots and preserve him a little bit more. They have Kendall Hunter and LaMichael James, who have very similar skill sets, and that was part of the reason why I questioned them drafting LaMichael James when they could have gone elsewhere, I thought, for a more impactful player. And Rock Cartwright also ran the ball pretty well. And so the Vikings, they definitely made the 49ers look like a very good rushing team. They ran for over 250 yards in this game. And overall, the Vikings did not play a very strong game, especially their backups. The starting offense, they played well, but it was only 2 drives, and hopefully in the second game I can have a lot more positive things to say about this team. And against Buffalo, definitely looking for them to stop the run better because the Niners, they have a good line and a good backfield, and the Vikings have to be able to stop teams like that, especially when they've always been a good team against the run. They're already a poor team against the pass. It can't be an overall bad unit this year. That would really upset me. But anyways, guys, that is my thoughts on the Vikings' first preseason game against the San Francisco 49ers. They were definitely outplayed, especially the backups, and these 2 teams actually play in Week 3 of the regular season in Minnesota, and so we'll see how that goes in the future. But looking ahead, hope the Vikings have a better preseason Week 2. And so leave your guys' thoughts on the Vikings' first preseason game as well, and let me know what you think about what I had to say about the team. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.